I'm going to start streaming live on all these platforms that we're supposed to stream live on. And I always forget because our thousands of listeners are just waiting to go live. Oh, here we go. We are live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. That's right. We're on live on
Wow.
LinkedIn right now. The guys like Dan Lyle, all those guys are listening in on LinkedIn right now. Hopefully. All right. Anyway, Happy Hour Live brings you interviews with some of the biggest names in U.S. rugby scene. And once again, we have two big guests tonight lined up for you. New England Free Jacks Jayson Potroz and Seattle Seawolves Connor Mooneyham tonight. So stay tuned for both of them. If you are listening in live, like I said a minute ago, on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, you can leave comments or questions in those chats, or join us over here on Twitter Spaces on the mobile app, okay? The mobile app, and you can even ask your own questions of our guests live. That's one of the unique things about our show. There's no other rugby show in the United States that can do this, where listeners can tune in live on Twitter Spaces or anywhere else and can ask our guests live questions themselves. So also, if you're not already following us, please do so at Eagles Overseas and Rugby Morning to get updates on future shows and news about USA Rugby, Major League Rugby, and much, much more. All right, so I am Bill Baker of Eagles Overseas, and with me, as always, is Rugby Morning's John Fitzpatrick. Hey, Fitzy, how you doing, man?
Bill, I'm doing great. I'm excited for tonight's conversations.
I am too, man. I feel like I haven't talked to you in like a week.
Did we do this last week?
2 weeks. 2 weeks. We took a week off, and for good reasons. And one day I will talk about that soon, but it's for serious reasons as well. So, with that said, it's just good to be back with you talking about rugby and tonight's show with like two big guests, and not just big guests, but
Yeah,
a huge matchup this weekend.
absolutely.
Yeah. But also leading up to this, I'm actually a little late to my prep. I don't know if you've seen the notes yet, Fitzy, but I've been roasting a chicken and pork on my my green egg for the past 3
Oh,
hours. Do you know what green eggs are?
nice. Yes, I do.
I mean, you need to get. It's like a bigger investment than a car. These things. I wish they were sponsoring us, because I would freaking go off with them, because the food that comes out that thing is so freaking amazing. And it was so late cooking the chicken that I've only eaten about a third of it. So if I start choking during the show, it's because I'm choking on a chicken.
So there's so
No,
many jokes there.
don't go there.
This is a kid-friendly program, Bill.
Yes, sorry. Anyway, Green Egg, if you want to sponsor us, we're willing to talk. Whatever.
Yeah, send one to me. I'll take one.
Exactly. The chicken or the green egg?
Is this an OnlyFans show? What are you doing,
Well, again, sponsors. Anyway,
Bill?
so as we go into, let's go to our next guest here, our first guest actually here in a second here. But if you're listening in again online on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever else, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat part of those videos. Or if you want to join us over here on Twitter Spaces, come over here on the app on your phone, okay? You can ask your own questions of our guests, or Fitzy or I, or me, however you say it. Come over here on Twitter and join us here. It's easy, a little clunky, but it's easy. And it's just a fun show. It's easy to do and a lot of fun. And we get a chance to talk to guys like our two guests tonight, Jayson Potroz and Connor Mooneyham, a little bit later. So with that said, Fitzy, let's go on to our first guest. Joining us all the way from Quincy, Massachusetts, 471 miles from your house, Fitzy, about, give or take 1 or 2 miles, but only a mere 36 miles from mine. So I'm just up the road from Quincy. Let's all welcome New England Free Jacks fly half, Jayson Potroz. Jayson, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, fellas. It's a pleasure to be on the show tonight.
Thank you, man. The millions of listeners in the world, including New Zealand, are anxious to hear from you.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I say potentially millions, because it could happen. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know. So, listen, man, you've gone through some pretty physical matches of late. How are you holding up?
Yeah, I'm good, actually. Just spending a lot of time on the recovery a few days after games, but now I'm good, man. I'm in good shape and looking forward to the next couple regular season games, especially this weekend against a very good Seattle team.
Yeah, we're definitely going to touch on that soon. But, you're obviously holding up well. MLR Player of the Week against Atlanta, my old stomping grounds. Don't worry, Fitzy, I won't say anything about. I played in Atlanta. Don't worry. No, sorry, Will. I played in that same field you played on. Anyway, Jayson, you 8 points scored, 97 meters run, 13 kicks in play is what I'm reading from the MLS stats guy. Second points in the league, 114, one behind Houston's David Kotzer. Damn South Africans. Anyway, and then also MLR Team of the Weekend. So talk about the team's performance in that game against Atlanta. In a fan's perspective, my perspective, it didn't seem like the team really played that well as it could. That try against Reese was really impressive as well, but I felt you could have played better.
Yeah, no, you did right. We were pretty disappointed, I guess, with our efforts, and in terms of a few things in our attack didn't function well. Our exits probably weren't as clean as we need to be, especially coming to the back end of the season. But hey, that's footy. You can't be at your best every week. You just got to find ways to win. So to come out 35-14 against a tough Atlanta team, it's still a good result for us boys.
Yeah, and like I said, it was a good win. In my opinion, it wasn't a great win as far as a team performance, but to come away from a win from playing like that is impressive. Is that the concept from the teams? Like, listen, even if you win ugly, it's great.
Yeah. Obviously, everyone loves winning, and
yeah,
we've just got to be tough in our reviews and sort of understand that yes, we won, but we weren't great. And if we're serious about making some big inroads into this competition, then we've got to address those issues and make sure we're getting better week in, week out. And look, we've had a tough review, so I'm sure this week against Seattle we can look to sort those issues out we had in the weekend and make sure that we're playing a bit better footy.
And
Jayson,
sorry, Fitzy, let me jump in real quick. I'm sorry, my bad. I want to talk about that Reese try really quick. It wasn't just Reese touching it down in the try zone. It was everything that led up to that. And I believe it started with you, obviously, from fly half. But, seeing that from your perspective, that play evolve, are you watching that in slow motion and thinking, wow, awesome?
Yeah, no, we did very well to get into a long edge shape there, and we all managed to pick the right options. But it was just nice to see, like it's pretty easy for the boys to switch off and not chase up, but to see, Millsy there, a hooker, and Holdy, a halfback chasing up, and then there's Reese, there's someone outside of the off chasing up, which is that's what it's about. Those repeat efforts and the want to do the best for the team. So now there was a very impressive try and an impressive finish by old Reese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason, I'm glad Bill asked that question about Reese's try because it seems like you guys really relish some of that broken play where it's throughout this season you guys had a number of tries with like quick counter, you're catching the team on the back foot, and you guys are running 60, 70 meters down the field, scoring some highlight tries. Is that something you can work on, or is that just getting comfortable with the teammates and knowing that, hey, we could break something here any moment if we counter pretty quickly?
Yes, we do work on it. Like it's probably a good way to attack the unstructured stuff. The defense isn't quite set. You sort of get a few lags in the defense, and you do have to train it. It's all about working hard off the ball and making sure you're getting into positions that you can execute your line breaks. There's a lot does go into it, probably more than what it seems. But no, we definitely trained at the old unstructured play, and it's nice that we're scoring long range tries because rugby's a pretty tough game to break down defenses. So if you can score long range tries, that does put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like you've really been able to mesh in well there with the team. A lot of weapons in that back line. Who makes your job easy out there, right? You got Bellicana out there on the wing, available for your long skip passers. You've had some great cross-field kicks to him over the past couple games. In the centers, you've got Ben and LaRue making great runs. You got to be excited when you walk out there and you look at your back line thinking, we've got opportunities to score some big tries here.
Yeah, no, it is exciting playing with all those boys. I think we just talk well and communicate space to each other and feed it in. And, my job's just to make sure I'm getting the ball to them in space and making sure that I'm executing might play as well. But a big part of it is our forwards. You know, our forwards are great. They carry hard for us boys. They do all the dirty work, I guess. And when they're going forward, it's like any team. You know, it's a lot easier playing on the front foot. So a big credit does go to our forwards, but also those outsides. You know, they're the ones calling for all those cross kicks and calling for all those plays. So, and you know, they're obviously playing what's in front of them. So, we can't ask for much more. Really, it's a full team effort really to get us over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that, right, is that bond that you form with the 9-10, right? And it seems like you've been able to form a good relationship, right, with John Poland and Kieran McClay. Did it take a lot of time for you guys to kind of figure each other out? Is it a lot of it just talking and getting in game time with each other?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it took long. I think it's just more like connecting off the field, like just sort of learning about each other and, you know, having little conversations around maybe some tactics that we're looking at and what could I do to help JP and Kieran and Holdy and, you know, what do I need from them to make my job easier. So we're all grown men, you know, and we do have some honest conversations, but I've enjoyed my time with all three of those nines. You know, they're all different, but all three of them are just awesome players. You know, and they all make my job easier in different ways.
But what is there? What differences are there? I mean, JP is different than Kieran, obviously, but I mean, does it take a half a match to figure out your timing?
Nah, not so much, mate. Like we train hard during the week. You know, boys are always switching in and out of positions. We're always getting reps together. And yeah, sort of in the games, you know, like we're in our structures as a team, so we sort of just adapt to it on the go. But no, we do a lot of our hard work during the week and trainings, making sure that we're getting our connections together and making sure we've got that little bond, because it's quite important your 9s and 10s being on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Jayson, speaking of we mentioned the two scrum halves, of course, Holden Younger. Were you guys disappointed when he kind of shaved off his like vampire thick, beard thing he had going on? It seemed like he lost. You know, that was such a good look for him.
Yeah, no, he pulled it off well, didn't he? No, he's a bit braver than me. I don't think I could rock that, but no, he's a good man, old Holdy. He got a lot of time from him. He's a legend.
There's a lot of characters on that team for sure, with some interesting hairstyles.
Yeah, I'm definitely not one of them with the hairstyle, but there sure is, mate. They're all good lads in our team, mate. It's a pleasure to be a part of.
You know, when we were building the graphics for tonight's show, I was researching images of you, and it went back a few years. Every year went back, there's a little more hair, a little more. And I'm with you there. I'm with you there, Jayson. Don't worry.
Yeah, it goes quick, mate. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and shave it off.
I know it. And for you listeners, when we mentioned JP, we were talking about Josh Poland, but I think most of you know. So, you know, Jayson, looking, we were the new episode of Proven was released today on YouTube. Yep. Coach Matthew asked the team something in there, which cracked me up. He asked during one of the team meetings, you know, to name the coolest operator in his field or her, anyone. I heard Liam Neeson. I heard Walter White. Even Josh called out Farmer Cam for best in the field. James Bond, Val Kimmer. Who were you thinking?
Oh,
were you in the back of the room going, "Don't point to me"?
Yeah, no, I was hiding behind the big pole there. I was, yeah, I don't know. I didn't actually know what was going on there, but no, I like Josh's one. He brought a bit of a laugh to the group, so
that was great.
Yeah, I'll back Josh on that one. I was actually in his group, so I've got to back him.
Yeah, so I think it was about Farmer Cam is a New England local. He works in the farm quite a bit and then plays, and he's also been doing great for the Free Jacks. Comes in quite a bit, scores tries, does an amazing work. And by the way, I'm not just a podcast host. I'm also a big Free Jacks season ticket holder, and don't tell my co-host that. I know you do. I know. I've been on a match. I think when DC came here, I was at that match, and I get a text from Fitzy. What the hell? What was that? That was not Ford. That was. Yeah, we all have our favorite teams, of course. So Jayson, in the same video, I was thinking, you know, there should be some captioning because someone was talking, I couldn't understand who it was, and all of a sudden it was the Eagle. It was Kyle Sakura. I couldn't understand him. I'm thinking that should have been somebody like you with a thick New Zealand accent, or whatever. But it was Kyle. but with speaking of Kyle, and I have to bring this up because his flow is amazing. Best mullet in the league, do you think?
Oh, 100%, mate. Look at him. He's a great looking human being.
You know what? Honestly, Jayson, before you even joined the club, I mean, I saw him kind of coming in. When he came in early on, he's grown so much. And even early on, I thought, there's no way this guy's going to play MLR full time, whatever else. But he didn't shock me. He impressed me and others how far he's come along. And I think, on the pitch, can you kind of paint a picture of what it's like to have Kyle on the pitch? I mean, I know it's different being a fly half from a prop, but having a guy like Kyle on the field, he's American grown, that kind of thing. How has he been for the club, and how important is he for the club?
Yeah, Kyle's very important. Like every time he talks, it's all passion. Like the Free Jacks in the Boston area, and that means so much to him. And us new boys, getting around him, us new boys from outside the country, getting around him, he gives us understanding as who we're playing for and what we're playing for. And on the field, Kyle gives it as everything every week. Like you see him after a game, he's absolutely exhausted, but that he's done everything to his best ability on the field, and and that goes with anyone in the team. That's all you can ask for. So, no, he's awesome. He's great off field for the boys. He's always one to put his hand up and hosts, a dinner or drinks, or he invites you to everything. He's a top man. He's one of the great teammates to have in your team.
Yeah, and another thing about the show there was a scene about the vault. And for those Free Jacks fans or anyone who doesn't know about that, so talk about the vault. What is it, and what kind of prizes have there been?
Yeah, the vault. It was new to me. I'd heard big things actually from last year coming over, so I was quite excited to see this old vault. It's just a big vault that was in the bottom of the bank. I think I don't actually know.
Well, the building, yes.
Yeah. So, not every game, but certain games, the coaches will give us the task. Like it might be, say we're playing a really good mauling team. It will be, I don't know, to stop their maul, or just like things in a game that are quite important for us to get the result that we need to be accurate in.
Mm-hmm.
And if we succeed, then we come in our first day one on 2 days after a game or whatever it is, and we open the vault, and there's normally like a hard drive there with the prize on. We chuck it in there, and there's boys all on the edge of their seats wondering what it is. But no, we've had some awesome ones. So start of the year, we went to the Boston Red Sox game.
Yeah.
So we all went there as a group and had a few beers, and on our bye week, and got around each other. We just had one the other day. We did some go-kart racing, and
nice.
so just stuff like that. It's just a good way, I guess, to connect off the field. A lot of us are from different parts of the world, so it's cool that we get the opportunities to spend a lot more time off field together, which is quite important to creating a strong culture.
Right. Okay, back to serious rugby stuff, okay? Back to the pitch. Although, side note, I need to see that vault one day. But anyway, lost to San Diego early in the year, okay? Is that a thorn in your or the team's side, especially knowing you could face them possibly in early July?
Nah, not at all, mate. Like,
no?
That was week 2 of the comp. We were still coming together as a group, and look, we've acknowledged that we were pretty poor that day, to be fair. We got embarrassed that game, but look, that was round 2. We're in round 15 this week, so it's a lot of games going on then, and we've continued to build our game, and look, we're just concentrating on making sure that we're getting our game right before the playoffs. So that's why these 2 games are very important to us. And hey, look, if we end up playing San Diego at some point, then bring it on. But we're not even thinking like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jayson, let's talk about this weekend. Big matchup against the Seawolves on Sunday night, the last game in this round. What's kind of been the message this week from the coaching staff to prepare you for the game?
Yeah, nothing changes really. Like we're sort of next game mentality, and we've been like that for a while. Look, we're under no illusions that Seattle's an awesome side. You know, they've still got a lot to play for in terms of getting top seed, I believe, and they're at home in front of their supporters. It's a long way for us boys that have never been there. But look, we're pretty excited for the challenge. We know it's going to be a tough game, but look, we're excited to measure ourselves up against one of the best in the West. So yeah, no, we're pretty excited to get over there and rip into them.
Yeah, and just quickly on some of the preparations for the game, right? So that's a 7:30 p.m. West Coast kickoff, so 3 hours behind East Coast time. Does that factor? So it'd be like it's a 10:30 p.m. Eastern time kickoff normally. Would do those factor into the preparations of how you prepare for the game? Extra sleep or rest? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, yeah. Our strength and conditioning coaches, so Ricky and George, they had a talk to us today around, you know, just giving us advice of what they would recommend. You know, it's up to us as adults to listen or, I guess, do the opposite. But if you're smart, you'll do what you're told. But no, look, we've got a few things in place, but I guess end of the day, you know, it's 80 minutes of rugby, so you just got to get yourself mentally prepared that you're going to be switched on for 80 or 90 minutes, which hopefully not, but yeah.
But Jayson, if you could for us on the East Coast, could you go in there a little earlier and say, "Hey guys, can we get the game going early?" We got guys on the East Coast. It's a little late for us.
yeah. It's 10:30 on a Sunday. It's not the ideal time, is it? But hopefully hopefully we do well. And I guess if people don't watch, they wake up in the morning and see the result and are proud of us. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So all right, so I'm gonna follow up with what Fitzy was saying there. I want to talk about the team possibly this weekend. I know you probably don't know selections yet at all, but Bodine looks to be back possibly this week. Cecil Hildebrand as well. I know he had a little sternum issue a couple weeks ago. Anything you can share about the makeup of this weekend's selection, or do you even know yet?
Yeah, so those boys are looking like they could possibly be ready to go this week. Wax and Cecil, but I'd say it'll be a very exciting team. You'll see. A lot of boys are hungry for an opportunity, and you know we know now every time we put the jersey on, we've got to be at our best to get rewarded with selection each week. So, and the way our team is, we've got a lot of depth. So, I think we're all pretty excited to rip in this week. But no, back to your question, it'll be an exciting team, and I'm sure that hopefully we can play some good footy for everyone.
Nice.
Jayson, I wanted to touch on briefly because there seems to be a really good pipeline back and forth of players and coaches to MLR and the NPC where you came from, that competition. Is this a situation where more players in New Zealand are becoming aware of MLR, or are they just chasing opportunities to continue to try and play footy year round?
I think the chat around the MLR in New Zealand is really positive, and each year it's been continually getting talked about more and more. And I think like my reason for coming was like an opportunity obviously to come to America to play rugby, to help grow the game, to test myself in new environments, coming across here, and I guess it's just an exciting brand of footy, you know, like, and you get to play against like a lot of nationalities who bring different things to different teams, you know, so it's just an exciting sort of rugby atmosphere that the MLR is creating, and hopefully a lot more people from New Zealand and I guess around the world do come here. But I guess the main goal is to make sure that we're growing the American game, most importantly.
So I meant to mention this way earlier. Listeners, either on here live on Twitter or online on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Oh, I said Facebook already. Go to drop us a question. We can get it here for Jayson Potroz from New England Free Jacks. Or if you're here on Twitter, you can go ahead and ask your own question live by requesting in the bottom left of the mobile Twitter app. And we'll get you up here as soon as possible. We got another 3 or 4 minutes or so with Jayson. But in the meantime, Jayson, I guess Kind of a stupid question for you, but we need to ask it. Did you ever think when you were younger, I guess starting playing professional rugby, that your career would take you to the United States?
Nah, mate.
Yeah.
No clue that I would be fortunate enough to get an opportunity like this. To be honest, like I never really thought about playing overseas when I sort of first started.
Yeah.
But no, when an opportunity this exciting comes up, you're mad if you don't take it. So I'm very thankful that I got this opportunity to come over here and play rugby.
And now that you're here, what has surprised you most about the Free Jacks supporters, the fan base?
Oh, they were awesome. Just how passionate they are. Like back in New Zealand, the fans are, I guess, a bit more quieter and sort of.
Really?
Yeah, probably not as vocal during games, but now the Free Jacks are awesome. The supporters, they all come say hello. They're very welcoming. They want us to do well, and we can feel that. And when the last few weeks we've had some big crowds, then you can feel the energy. And as players, that's sort of what we feed off. The more noise, the better it is for us, and hopefully worse for opposition teams.
Jayson, we got a couple minutes. I got to ask you, just as you're settling into the Boston area and experiencing the Boston accent, is it getting warmer there for you yet in Massachusetts?
Yeah, it is.
Barely.
Yeah, it's actually been a bit cold this week. Hey, I'm sort of. One week I got real warm, and I was like, wow, man, this is like too hot now. But I'm quite comfortable with the weather at the moment. I think it's sitting about 18 Celsius or something, which is quite nice playing in and training in. But
Jayson, I have no idea what Celsius means.
Yeah, I'm not too good on my Fahrenheit either. So.
How bad was the winter, and were you maybe prepared mentally and physically for the cold?
Yeah, so I actually got over here a couple of weeks later than the other boys, so I might have missed a little bit of it. But yeah, it was cold. But like, I guess like talking to people and everyone like from players from the team, I don't think it was as cold as the year before, which I was quite thankful for. But
yeah,
no, it wasn't too bad. Like we trained indoors in a bubble early on, so we're not outside too much. So it's all good.
So you mentioned earlier about going to a Sox game from the vault. And also I saw a video of the duck boat ride. I mean, that's all fun stuff, man. Talk about that. Talk about the stuff that the team does for team camaraderie and team building.
Yeah, so we went on that duck tour, and which was actually really cool to learn about the Boston history and the cool spots there. So no, we really enjoyed that. We went to the Boston Marathon as a group, which was amazing to see. Yeah, we do a lot actually. Like it doesn't always have to be big events, It can just be simple as catching up for coffees or playing cards, or there's a few boys now starting to play a bit of basketball together, and like just all of those things which are pretty cool here. Like it's and it's sort of what footy's about, is those connections off the field and meeting new people and bringing everyone together. So no, it's been really nice.
You know what? I love the term footy, and it's nothing you don't hear it enough in the United States. And for us, for footy means something different. Well, not everybody. Soccer, whatever else, or football. And I hear Cecil, whoever else say footy. Everyone knows what you mean, right? When you say that, hopefully.
Yeah. Back home, I guess that.
Of course.
Hopefully they know here because I say it a bit, but
Don't look at you funny. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully,
Jason, I got to ask one more question. We talked about Boston accents there, but have you had trouble understanding some of the Boston accents, or have you had trouble pronouncing some of the names of some of those towns in Massachusetts? Because you look at it and then you hear someone say it, and you're like, that doesn't sound like it at all. There's no.
No, I haven't had too many troubles, to be fair. Yes, nah, I'm all good. If I don't know, I'll ask someone. But I haven't got caught out yet, which has been good.
Well, one day, who knows?
Yeah.
Quincy's full of accents, so you'll be fine. Jayson, then, listen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know it's late on the East Coast. Been a brilliant time talking to you. Good luck the rest of the season. Good luck this weekend against Seattle. and the playoffs and going on. Hope to see you on the pitch soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Talk to you again soon.
See ya.
All right, that was Jayson Potroz from New England Free Jacks, the fly half. Player of the week for US MLR, if you weren't paying attention. Free Jacks are flying right now. They're having a great season. Jayson Potroz doing his own thing out there, having a great year. So again, another guy we can have a whole hour with, but we love having a quick 30 minutes, right, Fitzy? Quick 30 minutes. Good
Quick
stuff.
30.
Yeah, quick 30. And with that said, our next guest is actually here waiting. I think he's probably like sipping a cup of coffee because that's what they do on the West Coast, Northwest. He's number 1 in our hearts, but number 11 in Seattle Seawolves fans' hearts. This is Connor Mooneyham. Connor, how are you, man? You there? Unmute. There you are.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm just headed home from a little back social. We all went to a park and had a little grill out. I'm gonna be home in like 5 minutes, so if my connection's a little spotty, that's what it is.
I thought you were going to say we had a little a team social at some brewery nearby, so I'm getting a cab ride home.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Called you out. Got it. So how are you, Connor, other than heading back home? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. We're finally getting some super nice weather here. My car says that it's 87 degrees out. The sun doesn't go
87.
down until about 10 p.m., so it's been nice to kind of soak up the sun. I don't think we've even seen any rain for like the past 3 weeks. So it's been
Wow.
nice.
Wow. So we've switched sides. I'm in Boston. We've had rain for 3 weeks. And no
Yeah,
sun.
it's been awesome here. We switched with y'all.
Nice. No, I love Seattle. I've been up there many times. A beautiful area. And by the way, right up front, we need to apologize to you about something, okay? You may not know this. Typically, after appearing on our show, which you did about a year ago, the player or team does extremely well the following week. And I say typically, maybe like 7 of 8 times, like player of the week type stuff. So we'll talk more about this later. But you were invited to the USA camp in 2022, but not selected for the traveling squad for final qualification tournament in Dubai. So clearly, that was our fault. I am sorry.
We're sorry, Connor.
Yes, we are sorry.
Listen, I don't believe in jinxes. I mean, our team got disqualified that year as well, so it's
You had it all going on.
years.
Yeah. All right, so let's come back to this season right now. Okay, well, bygones be bygones. You've been absent for a little while this year. Injury apparently. How are you doing, and how's it going?
I'm losing connection.
You good?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you back.
Yeah.
All right, no worries. So we were saying you were absent
This is
for a little
always dead
while.
spot.
Yeah, absent for a little while for the season here. How are you doing with the injury going on? How's your recovery?
Yeah, I'm feeling healthy again. I had a little, you know how rugby is.
Yeah.
You play a few weeks and then all of a sudden you're just kind of dealing with an injury for the rest of the season. And a lot of the boys are coming off of things like that. We'll see a lot of people healthy here in the next few weeks, which is nice for the team. But I'm feeling good personally. So, I've been hitting the rehab pretty hard the past few weeks. So.
Yeah, Connor, you mentioned a little bit, that 2022 year was a difficult year. Certainly, what was going on in MLR. It's been well documented and talked about, especially in these circles. But maybe talk about the difficulties of MLR removing the Austin Gilgronis from the league and how tough that was on you, your family, and your teammates.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it was tough for me because my wife was pregnant at the time. And a lot of the guys had kind of built their homes in Austin. We were renting a house. We were planning on living there long term. And it forced a lot of my friends to go into retirement. A lot of the guys are still living in Austin. And, a lot of those guys, we all keep in touch and we still talk about those times. But, as everything in life, you just kind of got to look forward to the future. And, luckily for me and my family, we've really enjoyed it up here in Seattle so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as you're adjusting to life in Seattle and new teammates there, you were a teammate of Marcel Brocky's in Austin there. Is there someone in Seattle who can sing like Marcel?
That can sing like Marcel.
I'm trying to think.
I don't even know if I've heard Marcel sing, to be honest, which is actually kind of sad. And now when we go down to San Diego, I'm going to request to hear a song from him. But, all of the Polynesian guys can sing on the team. So that's just kind of like, it's kind of stereotypical, but it's always true. So.
But you look at Seattle, and other than Brocky singing, whoever else, but Seattle puts on a great experience as for the fans. What has really impressed you, and anything different than Austin? Not necessarily better, but just different. We'll get Connor back. Oh, we might have lost him. No, we didn't. We got him back.
Hello.
Hey, you are. Are you home?
I'm walking into the apartment.
Oh, sweet. So we asked you what your Social Security number was and your credit card numbers. No. Okay.
Yeah. So I live.
So anyway, to
the name of your first pet.
Birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I was mentioning about Seattle putting on a great experience for the fans. What has impressed you the most? Anything different in Austin? Not necessarily better, but just different.
Yeah, so I've spoken to a lot of fans here, and honestly, a lot of them have been day one fans.
Yeah.
And so some of them have been here since 2018, and they've had season tickets every year. And it's really cool to connect with those people because, obviously Austin was a new club, and so those bring new fans. And so when you hear these diehard fans every single week coming into the games, it's really cool.
Now, Fitzy, I don't know if you heard that, but he entered his code to his apartment. I think it was 4 codes. I think it was 3299. So just real quick, Fitzy, before you jump in, Connor, my first MLR game ever was New England versus Seattle in Seattle the week before COVID shut everything down. And so basically anyone in New England, it's my fault that I brought it back to Boston. My bad. I came back sick. But the experience there that the team puts on the fans, I think, the Free Jacks organization, the CEO, whoever else, they were there too, and they were taking it all in. And I thought the Seawolves did a great job with fan involvement, with the presentation, the food, everything else. So, I mean, is that something you've noticed as well there?
Yes, and I feel like it's only getting better.
Yeah.
The only reason that there's not seats filled is because all the parking sells out.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we need to upscale on the stadium. But the only thing that I would say that isn't ideal is sometimes when the players come out, they shoot this green smoke, and I feel like I'm choking coming out of the tunnel.
We'll bring it up with management.
Catch me with a coughing fit on the sideline.
Connor, you mentioned meeting some of the fans. So I've got to ask: Have you met Broccoli Guy yet?
Yeah, Broccoli Man. I think I met him night one. There's a few names that stick out if you're a Seawolves fan. There's a guy named Matt Courtwright. I don't know how he has a voice. He's the guy who leads the Seawolves chant every single week, or the Seawall. He leads them both. I don't know how he talks at work the next day. But yeah, there's a lot of diehard fans. It's good fun up here.
No, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the Seattle team. Lost your captain having their injury, though it sounds like he may be coming back at the end of the season, could be available for the playoffs. But you've a ton of senior leadership on that team, right? You got Samu, the hitman, Manoa, you got Andrew Duartalo, just to name a couple. These are guys you probably watched when you were a kid. But after Haddon went down there for a little bit, how do you feel like the team responded to that loss of a player?
Yeah, I feel like obviously losing a player of his caliber is big, but he's been hitting his rehab really hard. Honestly, he's moving around pretty well. He's been training with us these past few days, so he's looking pretty good. I say that he's on house arrest because he has this little thing on his ankle. What are you doing out of your house, man? But no, I feel like the team has responded really well, and I feel like guys like Charles Elton and Ben Landry have really stepped up to the plate as co-captains and have led the team well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Charles Elton and Ronan Foley each had 20-plus tackles. Let's talk about that Seattle-Utah game because watching it felt like a playoff game. Very intense, high quality, big hits. Did a couple of concerns though, right? Saw a couple of Seattle players leave the game early, Alatimu and Herbst. Does your group anticipate they'll be okay and ready to go for the playoffs?
Yes. As a simple, the
That's it,
simplest
yeah.
answer.
No need to elaborate. Perfect. One thing we did notice in that Sunday night game against Utah that maybe it was just the view of the television cameras, but the sunset kind of factored into some plays there. Is that some kind of like home field advantage going on there? To select a certain side at a certain time of the game.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure Charles, when he did the coin toss, he wanted to have the sun at our backs in the first half. But it's funny because it's a 7:30 kickoff, and then the sun doesn't start to go down until 9:15, which is pretty wild, especially for you guys on the East Coast. And the East Coast fans, it's probably tough to stay up for those games because they end at midnight. But yeah, the venue is definitely sought after, so I'm sure that has a factor with the late timings of the game.
Well, it's a beautiful stadium too there in Utah. But let's go forward now. Free Jack's coming into town this weekend. Don't worry. The first guest is maybe not listening in now, so share your game plan. No. So potential MRR Shield match preview. Okay, I know you don't want to get ahead of yourselves. No, none of the players do, but as us, we do, of course. Free Jacks come to Starfire. What kind of prep has the team specifically done for New England?
Yeah, we're honestly seeing this as an opportunity to see where we are going against a team that has the same record as us, that's at the top of the table. Every week we've kind of just been focusing on ourselves and looking at our previous games and trying to be a little bit nitpicky in our game. There was a lot of things that we could clean up against Utah, and as you said earlier, it really did feel like a playoff match. But you got to think about the things that were on the line for that game, especially for ourselves and for Utah. Utah trying to make a playoff spot and ourselves trying to clinch. But yeah, back to your question. Just the prep for the Free Jacks has kind of felt similar to previous weeks. Just trying to focus on ourselves and get better.
And here's one of those sports journalist questions that that every player and coach hates probably. Is this a must-win game?
Every week is a must-win game.
Yeah,
you think about it. But we definitely like to come out with a W after this week.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of. I want to talk a little bit about the west of your opponents there in the Western Conference, specifically the San Diego Legion. They've certainly been the talk of the league with their 11-game win streak and counting. But despite a 13-1 record, they haven't clinched the first seed in the West because your group is right behind them, putting pressure on them. And you guys have at least home field advantage locked up in the first round if you guys can't leap over them. But is the mentality that your group wants to chase down San Diego and steal that top seed from them?
We definitely know that that's a possibility, and it's something that we've spoken about a little bit, but it's not something that we're kind of seeking after. The first thing is obviously making the postseason, which we have done, and we're proud of that accomplishment. But obviously, we want to win these next few games. We're a little bit further behind that goal just because we didn't get a bonus point win against Utah. So we'll just have to see how these next few weeks pan out.
I got to mention one of our listeners over on YouTube Live says his handle is USA Rugby League and Union Fan. He says this Seattle versus New England game is mouth watering. That's we have to write down in our marketing plan right there. So let's jump forward, Connor. We're going to talk about USA Eagles. I know I mentioned earlier we apologize for that whole thing last year. But you're now in the 54 players named for the 2023 player pool. How does it feel to be recognized with an opportunity to compete now for that first senior cap? And are you more driven than ever, really?
Yeah, that's been a goal of mine for the past few years now. This year, obviously, I haven't played as many minutes as I would have liked. But yeah, just to be selected in that 50-man group has always been the goal for me and for any American player in the MLR. I think that's always our goal, is to try to represent our country at the end of this.
Yeah, I mean, was there? So, I mean, you're strong in MLR. You're an incredibly good player, obviously, and you're young. You've only been in the league a couple of years now. I mean, I guess we can go back a bit. I mean, is that just extremely disappointed for you not to get that chance last year, or is this like it's okay, it's okay, we got it soon? You know what I mean?
No, I'll answer truthfully.
Yeah.
So when we were in South Africa,
Mhm.
I honestly felt like I performed well.
Yeah.
And I felt like I did all that I could to get selected for that Dubai tour. There was a little bit of, at the back of my mind, I was really worried about my wife back at home because I'd been gone for a few weeks and she was pregnant and she was expecting baby at any time. And so it was a little bit, obviously I would have grasped the opportunity to go to Dubai over anything. And my wife was backing me for that. But
Right.
I was able to get back home and be there for the birth of my child. So, that was also very important for me.
Oh, that's huge. I mean, to miss that would have been, I don't know, for me, devastating, even for that missed opportunity. And congrats on that, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. He's 6 months now. He's a little tank.
What's the name of the baby? Is it Bill or Fitzy?
It's Miles.
What?
Young Miles.
Miles, nice.
Miles Mooneyham.
Nice. Oh, I love it. It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
I love it.
Eminem.
I like it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the team as well. Let's talk about Scott Lawrence. Now, Scott Lawrence has been active on social media, primarily LinkedIn, obviously, to re-engage former men's Eagles and connect them with the current Eagles. Really forging those bonds between the two groups, which is, I think, amazing. What can you share about working with Scott and the team so far?
So Scott, I had the opportunity. He was my coach at Life University for a couple of years, and so it's nice to be able to connect with him again afterwards. And I really like the mentality that he's coming forth with, with the USA team and how the calls have been going recently. He said that he wants to kind of change the structure of how we play and kind of use the athletes that USA offers and play a faster pace of rugby. I'm sure we all watched the game against Portugal, where we saw them playing very loosely, and even teams like Chile that know that they can just kind of bypass the set piece and play more of a fast-paced game and almost play like just fluidly and just play gloves off. And I feel like that's the approach that Scott wants to take with USA Rugby, and I'm here for it.
No, Connor, that's great. And with Major League Rugby season going on, and most of the players in the thick of it, I can't imagine you guys are getting together too often. So, what does that cadence look like? Or from an outside, right? From a fan's perspective, everyone's looking forward to the matches that are going to be taking place in August, and then obviously preparations will really ramp up once the MLR season is over. But do you guys try and meet regularly virtually during the MLR season to prepare for, so it's not just hey, we're in camp now?
Yeah, so every few weeks, Scott is making an update with us all on Zoom, and if you can't attend that meeting, then it's sent out to us via WhatsApp. We're all a part of a WhatsApp group, and they send out weekly reports on what player contributed during the game. I should say every player and how they contributed in the game, every USA eligible player. So it's nice to know that there are people watching us and kind of taking note game by game. And Scott has said that he's going to watch every single game, and I've seen him at a few of the MLR games this season, so it's good to know and to see them putting in the work behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about some of the younger players, I think what's been really neat to see in Major League Rugby is that, again, that pipeline that's building up, particularly through the MLR draft, right? So college rugby players are seeing, hey, I've got an opportunity here where I can start to play some professional rugby. And I got to say, the past couple of years, the number one draft picks in MLR have been playing pretty well, have been showing out. Do you guys have a little like number one draft pick club where you guys have like a text chat?
We should. we should. That's probably a good idea. I might hit up Sam and Eric and ask them what they want to do with that. I feel like that'd be kind of fun, especially since they're both balling out. So they're kind of living up to the expectation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So to talk a little bit about the preparations that are underway for that tour in August. So it's 3 matches against countries that have qualified for the 2023 Rugby World Cup. Portugal, Romania, and Georgia. Uh, do you think going into it? Do you think the Eagles, the men's Eagles, you guys have like maybe something to prove against those teams, or is that really in the consideration for these games, or is it just going up there and playing good rugby?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a little bit of everything. It's more than just trying to be the scout team essentially for these guys leading up to their World Cup. We definitely, every team wants to win a game. And with the USA, I feel like the winning culture has kind of been lacking in the past few years, and so it'd be nice to catch a few W's while the team's over in Europe.
Yeah, because I got to say, from an outsider's perspective, of course, what happened in the final qualification tournament was disappointing. But with everything that we're hearing about the camp and Scott Lawrence and forging those connections between past Eagles and current Eagles, the operative word seems to be maybe optimism right now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like there's always been optimism, but now that the boys essentially don't have anything to lose, it's more of like we got to take pride in this thing, moving forward. We sort of have to. I don't even know how to form my words or how to word it,
Yeah.
but it's more of like a pride thing at this point, in playing for your country and kind of just wearing that badge with honor.
So let me jump in here real quick. We have about another 7 minutes at the most with Connor Mooneyham from Seattle Seawolves. If you'd like to come up here and ask a question, you can do so live here on the Twitter Spaces app on the mobile app. You can't do it from anything else. You have to be on the mobile app. Coming up, you can request in the bottom left of the app, and we'll get you up here as soon as we can to ask a question. If you want to talk to me or Fitz, you can do that too, but who cares about that? Also, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, you can all go ahead and leave a message in the chat there where our team of people, our team of monitors, I guess you say, are monitoring those chats, and they'll let us know some questions. So with that said, I got one. Actually, clearly she's a Seattle Seawolves fan. I'm going to ask one of her. Actually, she asked me 3 questions. First, she asked, "Who is your favorite fan?" Just kidding. Her name is Shannon Whitemarsh, by the way. And her second question is, do you think that the fans play a part in energizing the team on the pitch?
Yeah, 100%. Kind of like what Jason was saying, the American fan base in any sport is going to be super loud, and whenever the boys score or there's a big play, you can hear that crowd at Starfire Stadium, and it's a lot different than other stadiums that I played in because the fans are so close to the field. Like you could take a couple jumps and you're in the stadium, or with the fans, with the crowd. So and I feel like the acoustics really help out as well. So yeah, like obviously they juice the boys when they get loud.
Now, I mentioned earlier my first MLR match was the Free Jacks versus Seattle years ago, right when COVID hit. And we had like great seats. My buddy who lives in the Seattle area, this guy Scott, has great season tickets. 50 like midfield, the first row of the main seats, not the. There's like a little like what do you call it? Like VIP boxes, whatever. So we had a great experience, and that was I was hanging out with Alex McElvey from the Free Jacks. Got a chance to meet the owner at that point of Seattle in that little bar restaurant area as you walk in to the stadium area by the soccer pitch.
Yeah.
And it was just like that was my first experience with MLR, and I thought this is great. It was just like concessions. It just the fan involvement was great. And for a young league, I thought this is it. And and by the way, Connor, I've worked in professional sports entertainment for a long time, Atlanta Braves, everything else. I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I've been around enough where I think I see what works. And that would just like Seattle blew me away. And with that said, other than Seattle Seawolves, have you been around the whole Seattle sports scene enough to go, wow, this is really cool? Like what else there? Like the MLS team, whatever else. Like what gets you? Like what do you like checking out other than the Seawolves?
For me, we've gone to a few Mariners games, and it's honestly beautiful where the stadium's located. So you can see, if you're up in the nosebleeds, you can see the whole city, the Space Needle, the bay, all at once, and it's awesome, and it's a good experience. I really like the outdoors of Washington. I like to fish a lot. I won't say that I catch a ton of fish up here, but just getting out and kind of reconnecting with nature is something that I couldn't do as often in Texas, just because it's so hot all the time. There's not mountains or there's so many things to do up here.
So, Connor, are you saying in the off season you're gonna do a full hike of the Pacific Crest Trail or Coast Trail? What's the big long one up there?
I'm not sure. There's so many trails up here that I couldn't even tell you. The other day I went to Olali State Park and that was beautiful. I've been hitting up Skykomish, the river, Snoqualmie. I'm gonna go down south pretty soon on one of these off days and try to catch me some salmon.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I've got some off day plans as long as my wife will let me stay away from her and the kids.
So wait, let me jump in here real quick. So my wife, who's actually listening in right now, love you, honey. You're amazing. She lived in Seattle area or outside of Seattle for college, and she loves it out there. And when I went out there without her to see that game I mentioned earlier, she was kind of probably a little pissed off. But anyway,
Phil, she just stopped listening, by the way.
she totally. Oh my God, what the hell? She totally did. I'm going upstairs right now. Okay, whatever. Love you, honey. Anyway, so Conda, let's talk about Seattle really quick. Earlier with Jayson with the Free Jacks, we talked about what they do a lot off the pitch. The team, they do certain things. What do the players do off the field to bond?
So we do things like we just did today. A lot of the boys will go down and we'll swim in Lake Washington, or we'll go out to some of the beaches around here. We'll grill out together. I'm actually going to go over to Mason Peterson's house tonight, and we're going to go have dinner. So, the boys connect a lot off the field, and it's nice because a lot of us live together. So there's an apartment complex on Mercer Island that they have a lot of the families in. We're not like on top of each other, not like next door neighbors, which is nice. But whenever we want to get together, we can, and we can grill out. So it's been really good.
Well, it's very sunny there. Sorry, Fitzy. It's apparently sunny in Seattle, which is not okay.
It's beautiful.
Go, Fitzy.
So, Connor, you mentioned you like going out a lot and going on hikes and stuff, but I noticed when I was in the Pacific Northwest, particularly in Portland and Seattle, I'd never seen so many Frisbee golf courses or parks. Have you picked up on that at all? Or am I the only crazy one here who's noticing this?
I can't say that I have. My sister plays Frisbee golf out in Utah. I know it's a big thing in the West, just in general, in California as well. But no, I've been playing some spike ball. The boys have picked up pickleball out here as well. So,
have you taken the boats across the not the harbor, whatever else, the islands?
Oh, into the islands?
Yeah,
I haven't. I need to. I want to take the ferries.
It's amazing. The last time I was there, we got out at the ferry, and then within like 100 feet, there was a bar with lots of local beers, which is my thing. Sorry, I'm not training for an MLR season, so that works for me.
Yeah, throw out a sponsor.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so kind of last thing for you. Seriously, the rest of the season, obviously, what's your goal for you, Connor Mooneyham? Not just like Seattle winning the finals, which could be a goal for you, but like future rugby goal for you. And where can we see you in like 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, we touched on getting capped for USA. That's been at the top of my list for a long time. And honestly, more recent goal of mine has been sort of nailing rehab and trying to take the off-field stuff a little bit more seriously and trying to get my body right, as I age, just trying to stay healthy during these next few seasons. I don't want to jinx myself because you guys really believe in the jinxing. But that's something that I've been trying to focus on lately. Nice,
man. So listen, Connor, again, you're a 2-time guest on our show. You're like, I think 3 behind, Christian Dyer. Anyway, we'll get you on again in a little while, but it's been a blast. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know it's just getting these 30 minutes of you is valuable time, but thank you so much, and good luck the rest of the season. Hope to see you in the playoffs.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Actually, hope to see you in a USA uniform this summer, not just the playoffs.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of jinxing.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Good luck and enjoy Seattle.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye, guys.
All right. Fitz, I got to tell you, that was a good one. Both guests. Fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was good stuff. I mean, look.
I don't think this is one of those shows we can say what you enjoy both of them said, but I think it's just all together awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great to hear from from two good players on two really good teams that know they're good, and
Yeah.
they've got postseason plans to go all the way, and probably guarded on a couple of things about plans and their
of
preps
course.
for faith in each other, but always good to hear from them in the run up to some of those big matches.
Yeah, and you know what? It's the same thing with a lot of the rugby players that I've ever seen or talked to around the league. Just rugby in general. It's not it's me kind of thing. It's the team, which is awesome, man. And one thing I love about MLR or whatever, Albert is still new, where guys like Connor or Jason come from overseas, Connor from here. It's two totally different stories, but the same thing. Get acclimated in the new towns, and they love playing the game.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, Fitzy, listen, it's been a lot of good time. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Shannon Whitehurst. I want to thank USA Rugby League and Union fans on YouTube. Shannon's on Facebook. Other people listening in on LinkedIn, wherever else. And also, if you were checking here live on Twitter Spaces, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun. We do this because we enjoy it. We're not making millions off of this. Actually, I don't think we're making ones. Maybe one day. But we do this because we love doing it, and it's great. I think it's good for the game. But thank you all for tuning in. Join us almost every Wednesday night, and it's a lot of fun. Join us. Ask your friends to join us. Tune in. You can ask your own questions, all that fun stuff. But thanks so much again for tuning in tonight. Hope to see you guys next week. Have a great week. Good night, everybody.